Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPAutos.com, your libertarian car guy. Wanted to show you something that I think presents an interesting juxtaposition about cars with engines versus cars with batteries, or rather cars that are powered by electricity stored in batteries, to be more accurate, because of course pretty much all cars do have batteries. Anyway, hopefully you can see my fuel gauge here. This is my old pickup truck and I'm nearly empty. In fact, I'm almost at the point where that little light's going to come on that looks like a gas pump that says it's time to fuel up because you've only got a few more miles to go before you run out of gas. But I'm not sweating it because there's plenty of gas. Gas stations all around, and it's 100% certain that at least one of them, probably all of them, are going to be working. And I can just slide right in and I can put a full tank of gas in my truck. It's about 15 gallons in about 3 minutes. I've timed it, about 3 minutes to put a full tank of gas in. Now, if I were driving an EV and the range indicator were doing the equivalent of what my gas gauge is doing, i.e. I was running on essentially fumes, very little range left to go, I would be kind of getting nervous about now, because there are only 2 places to fast charge that are even remotely convenient to where I happen to be driving right now. In other words, the other ones are so far away I might not get there. So I roll the dice and I drive to the first one. Hopefully it's going to be operational. People who are familiar with EVs know that that's not often the case, or that's sometimes not the case, I should say. It's very spotty, very sketchy. Sometimes these things are down for no apparent reason. They don't work. They won't accept your app, or whatever the thing happens to be. So then you drive to the other one and pray to the motor gods, or I should say the battery gods, that it works. And then, of course, you're going to wait regardless. You know, even if everything goes right and the thing does accept your app and your credit card, you're still going to have to sit there for a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes, minimum, to get any kind of meaningful charge in. You know, they don't tell you that, which I think is very telling. You know, they don't put that very important caveat there. If you want a full charge, it's going to take a lot longer because fast chargers don't fully charge EVs. They are set up to top out at 80% charge, and the reason for that has to do with an abundance of caution with regard to the heat buildup and the possibility of a fire happening, and also they don't want to damage the battery. So the very fastest amount of charge you can get at a fast charger is 80%, meaning that you're down 20% before you even get back on the road again. But long and short of it is you've got to deal with all these hassles, and I think that's one of the main reasons why the EV boom is going bust. You know, a lot of people have been talking about the end of the $7,500 tax rebate, and I certainly think that's something, but you know, people who are buying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 EVs, I really don't think that they're being dissuaded from buying an EV by you know, not being able to get the $7,500 tax back from the federal government. I think that that's probably a compounding factor, but I think at the end of the day, the real reason has to do with the fact that people are getting hip to the inconvenience of dealing with an EV. The way that it just kills spontaneity. You couldn't, like, if my truck were an EV and I just hopped in to go down to the gym like I'm doing right now and pick up a few things at Lowe's, my whole morning would be interrupted because I forgot to top off the tank the last time I was driving this thing. And you know, I didn't have to worry about it though, because you know, I can risk, it's no risk to drive down to Roanoke in this thing and get gas. Look, right up ahead, there's 2 gas stations and multiple pumps, and I can be on my way in no time. Couldn't do that with an EV. My whole morning would be shot. I'd have to drive to the fast charger, sit there and wait, blah, blah, blah. I might get home sometime this afternoon. So there you have it. More over at EPAutos.com, the web's best libertarian gearhead site. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll have more for you again soon.